With less than 60 days before the first votes are counted in Iowa, 4 candidates are in the mix or leading in at least one of the 4 early voting states. Combined with the lack of a dominant frontrunner nationally, Democrats can start asking a question that's maybe not so far-fetched: could the first 4 contests leave us with 4 different winners? It would mean perhaps the most wide-open Democratic primary in a generation heading into Super Tuesday on March 3. I think there's a strong chance, not an insignificant chance, of that happening, John Delavolpe, director of polling at the Harvard Kennedy School Institute of Politics, said of 4 candidates splitting the vote in Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, and South Carolina. The quartet of former Vice President Joe Biden, South Bend, Indiana, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, and Senators Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren has led the pack for months, with each having topped polls in one or more of the early states. At times, each of them has led a poll in at least one of the early states. While Biden has led most national polls, Sanders and Warren appeal to the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, while Biden and Buttigieg have staked out a more center-left ideology. Each is well-financed for the long haul. That is reflective, honestly, of where essentially every cohort of the Democratic electorate is, Delavolpe said. There's a consensus on what the goals are. There's a consensus on the challenges that America's facing. But there's not yet a consensus, whether it's with older voters or younger voters, of what the right pathway is to achieve those goals and challenges. If each candidate carried one early state, it would challenge long-held conventional political wisdom, that a candidate needs to win Iowa or New Hampshire to gain momentum before the race nationalizes. One latecomer to the race has made that bet already. Billionaire and former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg is banking on the race's continued fluidity as he skips campaigning in the first 4 states to focus on Super Tuesday, when voters in 11 states including California go to the polls. It would make Mike Bloomberg smile broadly if 4 different candidates won the first 4 states, said David Paleologos, director of the Suffolk University Political Research Center. That would be the ideal Bloomberg scenario. How the first 4 states could split. The 4 states 4 winners scenario isn't hard to draw up, although doing so lacks the foresight of momentum shifts and twists and turns that could alter the race in the weeks to come. Other candidates also could take off as the race inches toward Iowa. But a 4 winners in 4 states scenario would likely require Buttigieg winning Iowa, which holds its caucuses February 3. Buttigieg has soared into first in the 2 of 3 most recent polls, holding a lead of 3 percentage points from his closest rival, according to the most recent Real Clear Politics average of polls. A new poll released last week from Emerson College has Biden first, Sanders second and Buttigieg third. And Selzer, who conducts the famed Iowa poll for the Des Moines Register, called Buttigieg the standalone leader in Iowa but said someone could still challenge him in a state where voters tend to decide late, even into caucus night. Iowa is a place I say that anybody can come and win, really, Selzer said. There's sort of no time that is too late. She said Buttigieg has moved into a sweet spot among Democratic voters in Iowa, noting that 63% said they felt his ideology is about right, the best among all candidates, in a recent poll. People are comfortable with where his views are more than they are the other candidates, she said. In New Hampshire, which votes February 11, a close 4-way race has held for weeks, with Biden, Buttigieg, Sanders and Warren each leading in at least one of the 6 most recent polls. Sanders is ahead currently in New Hampshire by 1.3 percentage points in the latest Real Clear Politics average of polls, while Warren has slipped. But New Hampshire has a history in primaries of bucking Iowa, often favoring candidates from New England, perhaps giving an advantage to Sanders or Warren. Both would face pressure to win in New Hampshire if Buttigieg wins Iowa. Next comes the February 22 caucus in Nevada where Biden is ahead by only 6 to 10 percentage points, according to recent polls. Warren and Sanders, the latter of whom finished close behind Clinton in Nevada in 2016, are both in striking distance. If, for example, Sanders won New Hampshire, Warren would probably need to win Nevada, or vice versa, for a pattern to emerge of different winners in each state. 1 week later, February 29, is the South Carolina primary, where Biden, who remains the only candidate with sizable support among black voters, has dominated from day one. As long as Biden continues to have sizable support among African Americans, who make up more than half of the Democratic electorate there, he will be a heavy favorite in South Carolina. The bookends potentially could be Buttigieg and Biden on the front and back end of the four, paleologos said, and then in the middle you've got the hometown fight for New Hampshire and then the granular caucus fight in Nevada, and potentially that could be won by the other candidate. On the flip side, if Iowa goes to Warren or Sanders instead of Buttigieg, paleologos said it would likely spoil the possibility of a different winner in the first four states. There's also a chance Buttigieg could use a victory in Iowa as a springboard to win New Hampshire. And the winner of New Hampshire could gain momentum heading into Nevada, decreasing the chances of a new winner there. Paleologos, who said it's too early to predict just how long the 2020 primary will remain wide open, called the scenario of four winners in the first four states unlikely but not out of the question. Statistically, it's a low probability outcome, especially when you've got momentum in play here. But anything can happen, and certainly today's polling would support the argument. Not since 1992, when Tom Harkin won Iowa, Paul Tsongas won New Hampshire, Jerry Brown won Maine and Bob Kerrey won South Dakota, has four different candidates won the first states in the Democratic primary. None of them were the eventual winner. Bill Clinton, whose famous strong second-place performance in New Hampshire coined him the comeback kid. Clinton started winning states, and later secured frontrunner status, as the primary moved south, where he enjoyed strong support from African American voters, and to the Midwest. In 2016, Hillary Clinton won 3 of the first 4 states, the exception being New Hampshire, which Sanders carried. On the Republican side, Donald Trump won 3 of 4 with Ted Cruz winning Iowa. In 2008, Barack Obama and Clinton split the first 4 states. Obama won Iowa and South Carolina and Clinton carried New Hampshire and Nevada. They went toe-to-toe nearly to the convention. Democrats the 2 previous cycles, John Kerry in 2004 and Al Gore in 2000, secured the nomination early in the process. Gore swept the early states. Kerry won Iowa and New Hampshire before dominating in early mini-Tuesday 1 week later, winning 6 of 7 states. Joe Trippi, a longtime Democratic campaign operative, said he believes it's highly unlikely the first 4 states will have 4 different winners. Based on the primary history, Trippi said the outcome of Iowa will probably change the dynamics of the race despite what the polls might currently say. I think a lot of the candidates and teams, and a lot of the press, are sort of underestimating how anything we think might happen today is just going to probably be massively changed by the day after Iowa, Trippi said. In the 2004 primary, then Vermont Governor Howard Dean, managed by Trippi, was polling first in Iowa 2 months out from the caucuses, only to see the lead crumble and Kerry win. Kerry used the momentum to quickly secure the nomination. The race is essentially over that night, Trippi said. But if it does turn into a long drawn-out primary fight, Trippi said he believes Democrats will be stronger for it. People said the Clinton-Obama battle was bad for the party. It went all the way to the last state and it was pretty spirited, and I think we had more energy in the party and Obama was a better candidate, he said. It might take a while. Biden has maintained a lead nationally, according to a new Monmouth University poll released last week that found him with 26% of support of Democrats, Sanders with 21%. Warren with 17% and just 8% for Buttigieg. The latest snapshot came after Buttigieg had gained traction in previous national polls over the past month while Warren slid, coinciding with her release of details about her Medicare for All plan. More Pete Buttigieg surges to second. Joe Biden regains national lead in new poll. Della Volpe said it's possible no contender in 2020 emerges as a clear leader even after Super Tuesday, putting a premium on other contents including the April 28 ASLA primary, when Connecticut, Delaware, Maryland, New York, Pennsylvania and Rhode Island vote. Given the collection of Northeast states, it would present a major opportunity for Bloomberg, if he's still in the race and proven viable, as well as Biden. That's something where both he and of course Biden I'm assuming are betting on, Delavolpe said. For now, he said all four of the leading candidates have an Achilles heel that's in the way of securing the broad coalition needed to win the nomination: voters under 50 years old for Biden, black voters for Buttigieg, seniors for Sanders and non-college educated moderate voters for Warren. In order to win a majority of delegates, each of them needs to be more complete, he said. And it might take a while.